So I'm here with Swen Temmel. First of all, hello, Swen. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself? It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to meet you. Star of High Rollers, co-star of High Rollers, also a sequel to Cash Out. So right off the bat, two movies back to back with John Travolta. You get to be part of the crew, so you get to actually learn from him while you're actually collaborating with him on the scenes. What are some of the valuable lessons you've learned? Because you're very passionate about acting. What are some of the acting lessons you've learned from Travolta?
He's been doing it for such a long time and he's made so many memorable movies. I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from him is to stay humble, to stay dedicated, and to stay engaged no matter how long you've been doing this or how many movies you've made. That's what I've seen from him because obviously he's done so many legendary things, and working with him, you could still tell that he's so involved and so a part of the project because obviously when he signs up to something, he wants to do it and he wants to be a part of it. And that is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned working with Travolta is just to keep that passion, keep that flame, and really be a giving actor and be in the scene and react even when you're off camera because if it's an over the shoulder shot, it's not on that person that they're shooting over, but you still got to give your other actor something to work off of. And he was always there. He was always behind the camera. He was always ready to give the lines and the dialogue so that you really had somebody to work off of rather than a green dot in the corner of the lens.
So, is there an advantage with coming back to a sequel with a crew, a bunch of people? Well, Gina Gershon's new, right? But just a
Mhm.
whole crew that you've worked with before. Is there a cool kind of shorthand? And just talk about that advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest thing about coming to a movie is sort of building that camaraderie, especially in a movie like this where it is a group of people that are working together in the movie to achieve something. So there has to be that friendship, that camaraderie, that shorthand. And coming back for a second one, it's all there. It wasn't that long between shooting the first one and the second one. So it was sort of old friends coming back together and starting where we left off on the last movie. And it definitely makes things a lot easier because we all knew each other. Everybody knew the characters. We all knew our where we are in this movie, and it definitely made things a lot easier and it made it fun.
I'm not going to spoil where your character goes throughout the rest of the narrative, but I will start with the beginning. Shot on the beach, you're all dressed up for a really intimate wedding. What was
Mhm.
it like? What was the weather like, and what was it like shooting that sequence? Because there's a lot of things that happen within the opening moments of High Rollers.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We shot it in Biloxi, Mississippi at a nice time of year. So I mean, it was beach weather. I've shot other movies where we're shooting stuff that it's supposed to be cold and you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Other times you're filming stuff where it's the summer and it's supposed to be cold and you're wearing a jacket. It was nice to be able to wear clothes that were appropriate for the weather, but the movie definitely starts off with a massive bang. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, you see it in the trailer. And being able to witness that firsthand with the action, the helicopters, the boats, the explosions, and just being there on the beach and seeing it all, you don't really need to act much because it's all happening there right in front of you. It's pretty neat.
So look, I'm looking at your IMDb, and I still have yet to see. I really want to see the cleanup crew. I still haven't seen Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. You star in a lot of
Great.
action-driven movies. That's right up my alley. But I
Mhm.
want to know, who were you growing up? Were action films just your preferred genre as a movie fan, as a youth, as a teenager? And is that what inspired you to be where you are today as an actor and a producer?
I obviously, as a kid, there's certain things, and funny, never really thought about it in that way. But, I'm from Austria, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is from Austria as well. And I grew up around him and the movies, and going to the movies as a kid, I saw his films, and they're, mostly action, and then Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone. So I found those movies to be really intriguing, and it just drove me in the direction as well. I mean, I do love dramas as well, and I did the movie with Al Pacino, American Traitor, and so but I think action is just the way that my life has taken me, and I enjoy the physical aspects of shooting these kinds of movies. They're fast paced, they're intense, they're physically demanding, but it's so rewarding in the end when you're putting these fight choreographies or these gunfights or sword fights together in the end, and then you see the final product on screen, and it's just a completely different thing than you recorded. And I just find that fascinating.
Well, on that part, I guess part of your job as an actor is to, you said it's physically demanding. So I'm assuming when you go from one role to the next, and maybe you might have time, do you have to stay in that type of shape just to get, it's almost like you're preparing for the next project? Is that, or can you actually just rest your body until the next project comes around? I hope that's the latter. You get to rest a little bit.
I think that it's sort of like an athlete. You're always in the gym. You're always maintaining a certain level of athleticism in order to stay at a level. Obviously, when you're done shooting a film, nothing is better than sitting at home, drinking a cold beer and eating a pizza. But that only lasts for a little bit, and then you get back into the gym and you get back on your routine. But it also helps because, as an actor in the entertainment business, it's nice to have some sort of routine because it fluctuates so much. Sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not, then you're auditioning, then you're doing this. So there's so many variables. There's no constant in the entertainment business. So at least having that one constant of, maintaining physical athleticism for these movies is a nice thing to have.
I'm just wondering, as someone who doesn't act, but the idea of going into the acting journey, it just seems against all odds. Even if you were spent a lot of time, you lived here for quite a while in Los
Mhm.
Angeles, right? Even with Hollywood in your back, right in your backyard, what kept you going? Because there are so many ways to get rejected in these auditions, and what kept your dream alive to where you are today? A veteran actor and producer. When you look back at your journey, you could have, I'm sure, given up so many times, but you didn't.
I mean, in life, it's always about sticking it out. And I think if you feel passionate and you truly enjoy something and love it, you'll stick it out no matter what. Obviously, there's always going to be rough times and good times, but I think it's that the drive comes from the passion of loving what I do, of bringing characters and stories to life. It's, I think, what I was meant to do in my life. I enjoy it, and everything is tough in life. If you want to be a lawyer, there's going to be certain insecurities. If you want to be a doctor, every profession out there has its turmoils and its hard times, and it's just about sticking through those times and getting past it and having the strength in order to not give up on yourself. And I was also fortunate to have a lot of support from my family to say, keep going, you're so close, friends that were there for me. So I think that's a big part of it too, because it's not always easy. It's not always glamorous. The best times are when you're on set, when you're filming a movie. What's greater than working with John Travolta? It's the times when you're sitting at home, reading, learning, studying that, can get a little bit long. But as long as there's that flame, that fire, that desire, then nothing can stop you. And I think that's the case for me.
So on the reading and learning part, when did that road of becoming a producer, was that a byproduct of you being an actor? Because I know acting is your first love, but when did that producing love, I guess, spring forth for you?
Yeah, I think it kind of just came with the territory of acting, meeting these people, be sort of joining certain groups, and you do enough movies, you meet enough people, and then you sort of build on that. And I think that's sort of where I went as well, because a lot of movies that are independent world don't ever get the recognition that they should. And having made certain connections, I'm able to find scripts and put people together, and hopefully in the end, shoot them so that they can see the light of day and that people can see the hard work that's being put into making these movies.
Is it ever frustrating because you start in a lot of really awesome independent film, but they don't get a lot of love like the big box office blockbusters or the studio, tentpole driven type of products? Where for me, I love indie films because you can actually feel the filmmaking, the acting, and it has its own character. And I'm assuming that's a big reason why you love independent filmmaking as well. But does it ever get frustrating that it doesn't get as much love as the big boys, I guess?
It does get frustrating, but I think we have a lot of good support coming our way, especially now with Anora winning Best Picture and Director and Leading Actress. It was an independent movie as well. So not only does it give us independent people hope, that the recognition will come, but we're having people stand up and speak openly about the challenges of the independent world and how hard it is to put these movies together. So I think that there is certain momentum that's being gathered, because I think the normal person doesn't really, they see the finished project. They see, the movie that they go see in the movie theater and they go, wow, that was great, or that wasn't so good, but they don't see the time and the effort and the years that were spent putting a movie together, which is part of the fun. If it was easy, I don't think you would really appreciate it as much as if it takes a little bit of grind and sweat to put together. So yeah, sometimes it's hard to not get the recognition, but then once in a while a movie comes out that does, and it gives you hope that, hopefully one day you can too make a movie like that.
Well, specifically on High Rollers, what are people like me taking for granted? Because the movie looks beautiful. There's a lot of glitz and glamour behind it, really interesting locales, really wonderful ensemble. What are we not getting as far as the hard work and sweat that you guys put into an indie project that actually looks like a big budget studio film? What are we not seeing?
Well, I think the condensed schedule of making a film like this. Obviously, we didn't have studio time to make this film. So really making sure that everybody's on the same page. When you're shooting the script, everybody's focused, everyone's dedicated to the scene, because, sometimes for a bigger movie, you're shooting half a page to a page a day. In our case, we were probably shooting 3, 4 pages a day. So it just, things are more condensed, obviously for budgetary reasons, but that's what people don't see is like those big action scenes or those big explosions that other big movies might have a couple of days to prepare for. In our case, it has to be prepared for in advance so that when you get there on the day and you're shooting, it's all set, it's all ready to go. Everybody knows their mark, everybody knows their place. 1, 2 takes and you're moving on.
I would never be able to cut it. Too much pressure, but I'm glad people like you can cut it. Final question, and this is a two-parter. First off, can you name one of your all-time favorite films, and what is it about this movie that still resonates with you as a movie buff? And the second part of that question is, after watching Cash Out and High Rollers, where would you point our listeners and watchers to as far as your own filmography, a movie of yours you feel that is maybe underrated and you would like our listeners to watch? And again, thank you for your time.
I would say my all-time favorite movie is Castaway with Tom Hanks, where he's stuck on an island and 90% of the movie is just him and a volleyball. And I think it's just so fascinating that you can have a movie that's 2 hours long where he's engaging and he's talking to literally himself. I mean, he's talking to a volleyball, and they created a character behind this volleyball. You almost feel for the volleyball. And it's one of those movies that I watched when I was younger, and I just loved it. The fact that he could captivate an audience by himself and keep the attention going. And I found it fascinating. And I think a movie that I'm really proud of, and I think that maybe hasn't been seen as much, is American Trader, where I played opposite Al Pacino, because it's based on a true story. It's a great film and it's got a lot of heart, and it's based on a true story, and there's something to learn from it and something to take away.
And I'm sure it was working with Pacino was, I'm sure, pretty cool. I mean, is that something
Oh yeah, it was absolutely incredible. I mean, he is the acting legend, and it was just absolutely beautiful working with him. Again, just an incredible human being, very kind and giving, and it was a joy to be able to work with him.
Well, and thanks again for the really great conversation, and looking forward to interviewing you in the future as well.
Thank you very much. Anytime.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.